Wheat School on RealAgriculture.com was brought to you by Syngenta Canada, Alberta Wheat Commission, and C&M Seeds.
Peter Johnson, RealAgriculture.com, at Wheat Pete. And we're back looking at wheat trials. I love wheat, but stripe rust, what an incredible disease. In Europe, they call it yellow death. And I've never seen a disease move faster. So what does a grower do about it? Well, what's really cool is in the cereal performance trials, the Ontario cereal performance trials, we have managed or sprayed fungicide applied plots, and we also have unsprayed plots. Most growers use fungicides, so we need the data where they've used that control. But what's really intriguing about stripe rust is that it's not the same at every location. So there's different races. If we go to Ridgetown, for example, there's a variety, a 25R46, it's just decimated with stripe rust. We come here to Harriston, and that variety, it's got a little stripe rust, but not a whole lot. One of the key things about the stripe rust is that there are these different races, so every location a little different. The other big issue with stripe rust is that we think that it's mutated, and it looks like we have a much more heat-tolerant stripe rust. So it used to be, when it went over 20 degrees Celsius, stripe rust became a non-issue. It sort of quit progressing. It wasn't a problem. Now, in these plots, even when we're at 28 degrees Celsius, it's still doing a huge amount of damage. And if you look at this plot over here, you can see that this variety, man, it's just decimated. All the flag leaves are gone. You look at the variety beside it, and you can see, wow, the flag leaves are still in pretty good shape, and so we're not seeing big hits from stripe rust in this variety. Meanwhile, if we go over here to the sprayed check rather, in this variety that's really super susceptible, just decimated from the stripe rust, here it's pretty clean, but it's not totally clean, and that's the one question that we often get with stripe rust is, why do I still see some development after I spray my fungicide on there? Well, gosh, it's like any other disease. If you don't have good genetic tolerance along with the fungicide, we get 95, 98% control here. It's not 100%, so we're not going to see all of that controlled. Couple of other interesting things. One, I get asked lots of questions about drought stress and do I spray my fungicide? You know, what's interesting in these trials is that we actually see a little bit better drought tolerance where we spray the fungicide than where we don't spray the fungicide. And how much yield that will relate to, we'll have to see what the trials say, but we are under very dry conditions and we're seeing that differential. That's kind of cool. And the other thing that we get into on stripe rust is some varieties will get it like crazy and not sporulate at all, not spread it. Other varieties, they get stripe rust and sporulate like crazy. You walk through and you get all this orange on your white shorts. You just look like you come out of the field looking like a yellow cat, for crying out loud. It's just one of those diseases that you can either see that or not, and that's another thing that you need to know when you're selecting those varieties. So a ton of data here, a huge problem this year in Ontario, and thank goodness that we have some sprayed trials to get some good data from.